Look at these headlines. It's crazy now. Shame on you, Isabela Ferrer.
What if I told you Justin Baldoni just made his most calculated move yet? A legal maneuver so precise it could wipe Isabela Ferrer off the board entirely. This isn't just a procedural filing, it's a power play. The kind that rewrites alliances, resets strategies, and cuts straight into the core of Blake Lively's hidden connection. Everyone assumed Ferrer was the golden witness, the one who could unravel everything. But Baldoni isn't protecting her. He's erasing her. So ask yourself, why silence someone who holds the truth? And why is Blake Lively suddenly fighting to keep her voice alive?
Trying to paint him as this harasser because he subpoenaed you? Blake Lively subpoenaed you first! Make it make sense. So she's not harassing with her subpoena, but Justin Baldoni is. And now your lawyer is in conversations with Justin, but he won't accept it because he's got to find you first. This ain't Where's Waldo, girl. This is a real deal important battle, and you were there. Granted, you were there for 4 days, but Blake incorporated you more in the after fact. And so blame her. Don't blame him. Unless you got an issue with him, then just tell us. This weird playing in the middle and allowing the press to now go negative on Justin without you ever even saying whether he did anything on set and whether Blake's telling the truth or not is kind of shocking. If you don't know, then say that. That's another answer. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't hear any of this. I don't know. I suspect she doesn't want to do that because then she'll go against Blake and Ryan, who are very powerful. So that's why I've always thought, well, she's in a tough spot. But this response from her, shame on you, Isabela.
So why is everyone suddenly whispering about a single sheet of paper? Not because it's packed with legal jargon or filed in some secret chamber, but because it detonated something far bigger. On the surface, it looked like an ordinary court document. Routine, procedural, the kind of filing that gets buried under 100 others. But when insiders caught wind of what was actually inside, the buzz hit Hollywood like a tremor. Think courtroom grenade, silent until it explodes, and when it did, the debris didn't scatter randomly. It landed squarely on Blake Lively and Isabela Ferrer. Most assumed it was minor paperwork, background noise, and a long legal slog. But then came the details. And those details cut straight into whispers of a connection no one outside the case even knew existed. Suddenly, what should have been forgettable became the only thing anyone in the industry could talk about. Here's the twist. It wasn't about scheduling or procedure. It was about positioning. The filing didn't just mention Isabela Ferrer, it rebranded her. No longer a bystander, not just a name on a list, but a possible key holder. Someone tied to Blake in ways that weren't supposed to surface. And that's where Justin Baldoni's team looked almost pleased. To them, it wasn't paperwork, it was bait. A trap disguised as formality. Hollywood veterans know this move well. Sometimes the loudest blows in a courtroom come not from testimony, but from a line buried in the paperwork. That's what this was. A quiet piece of evidence with the power to flip the entire case. Because if Blake Lively truly had nothing to hide, why does Ferrer's name now thread through the heart of her defense? Baldoni's lawyers didn't just file, they played. They're positioning this not as reaction, but as strategy. By dragging Ferrer into the light, they forced Blake into the one position she can't control: exposure. And somewhere inside that filing lies a secret, one that hints at how this connection began. To find it, you have to rewind to a single eyebrow-raising subpoena.
Part 2 of this story, because this is the response to that. Dear Judge Lyman, as counsel for Wayfair Studios, Justin, everybody, etc., we write in response to Isabela Ferrer's opposition to the Wayfair party's motion to serve her by alternative means for the pendency of this action. The opposition is primarily an inappropriate attack on Mr. Baldoni and his counsel in violation of the order dated on August 8th, relating to matters not before the court, i.e. the indemnification issue, meaning that Justin's team should pay for this because this is a movie issue, but it's not really what indemnification usually typically covers, as Ron Zambrano has told me. It's irrelevant to whether Ms. Ferrer should be served via alternative means. That's what this is supposed to be about, that we can serve her via her attorney and not have to track her down, as her lawyer's requesting, when we've now gotten in contact with the lawyer. Ms. Ferrer played the role of young Lily in the film. After Ms. Ferrer completed her work, she expressed her gratitude, which we read on the last video, how she had an incredible experience and how Justin created a comfortable, safe space for her. This paragraph, they basically talk about, I assume, because it's redacted, according to the amended Lively disclosures, she identified, I'm assuming this is personal details or addresses in order to explain why they sent it to the places they sent it to. They then continued in February 2025. Miss Lively issued a subpoena to Miss Ferrer, who was represented by Mr. Michelman. Presumably, Mr. Michelman accepted service of the subpoena on Miss Ferrer's behalf without objection. In July 2025, Wayfair parties subpoenaed Miss Ferrer for documents that she either neglected to produce or were not requested by Miss Lively's subpoena. Now, this is interesting. Does that mean she did give Blake some stuff, which then Justin now did get from Blake's team? Because you're supposed to share. That's where I am a little unconfused of, well, what do you already have? Now, they're being a little vague on that, to be fair. At the same time, they're allowed to ask, as Ron Zambrano told me, like, this isn't out of the realm of something that's unusual. And sometimes, Blake can take long, and this doesn't guarantee that Blake did, in fact, give everything over, et cetera, et cetera. It's unclear. They're both sort of still hedging on what they've gotten or what they didn't get. Wayfair parties twice requested that Mr. Michelman accept service of their subpoena, a common professional courtesy that Mr. Michelman likely granted to Miss Lively's counsel in connection with her subpoena. Well, they're assuming that, but I think it's a pretty good assumption. So why are you giving me trouble is basically what they're trying to say. Like, hello, Mr. Michelman ignored the Wayfair parties' requests. Instead, he prepared and filed a robust opposition to the motion for alternative service, most of which does not pertain to service, without explaining why he refused to accept service of the subpoena or why his client is so reticent to testify. Mr. Michelman seems more focused on contractual obligation to indemnify Ms. Ferrer and cover his fees. Ironically, Mr. Michelman's actions have unnecessarily increased those fees by creating issues where none should exist. This is imperative too, which Ron also echoed. Like, you're costing her more money to fight it. Just get it over with and just do it. You don't need a lawyer to be, deposed and do this. Just show up and answer. What are you hiding? What are you afraid to say? Like, I'm sure Blake's team would swoop you up if you want to be on her case. And if you don't, you go on Justin's case. This whole meet in the middle thing, enough already. Enough, girl. You got to make a decision. That's the problem. I don't think anything happened. Or Blake sort of put something in her head that she now thinks, oh yeah, I guess. And now she's stuck in this middle zone. And I still would have been on her side and felt for her. But to allow the lawyers to basically put out a whole press release to destroy Justin over it, shame on you. Shame on you.
Back in February, Blake Lively made a move no one saw coming. She didn't just file motions or broad discovery requests. She went straight for a subpoena aimed squarely at Isabela Ferrer. And the question hanging over the entire courtroom ever since has been simple. Why her? Out of all the names she could have pulled in, choosing Ferrer at that exact moment wasn't random, wasn't routine, and definitely wasn't harmless. It was surgical. At first, the move barely caused a ripple. Ferrer's lawyer accepted service quietly without protest, as if it were just another sheet in a stack of paperwork. But that calm didn't last. Within months, everything froze. The same side that had played along suddenly turned combative. So what changed? Because this wasn't about harmless paperwork. Blake wasn't asking for holiday photos or scheduling emails. She wanted specific communications, private exchanges that could connect dots nobody was supposed to connect. That's what made it dangerous. These weren't generic records. They were targeted, deliberate, and potentially explosive. So what actually crossed the table? Technically, Ferrer complied, but insiders whisper it wasn't full compliance. Maybe only selective pieces made their way into Blake's hands, the polished fragments meant to paint a cleaner picture, the kind of curated evidence that tilts sympathy in one direction while the real story stays locked away. That's where the suspicion started. And from there, it snowballed. Because word around the industry is that some of what Ferrer handed over didn't stay sealed. Documents allegedly slipped through the cracks, leaked, intentionally or not, until they landed somewhere inside Justin Baldoni's orbit. In Hollywood, that's not far-fetched. Discovery wars here have a reputation for spilling gossip faster than they settle facts. So if everything Ferrer turned over was harmless, why the sudden resistance? Why the cloak and dagger shift from cooperation to silence? That's the shadow trailing her subpoena. Whether it was voluntary or calculated, Blake wasn't chasing a minor witness. She was chasing someone sitting on a much larger truth. And then came July. That's when Wayfair stepped in, demanding clarity from Ferrer, and the quiet tension around that subpoena turned into open fire. intro.
This is a great response, I gotta say, and he does this brilliant reverse Uno card on this. Props to his attorney, Kevin Fritz, who brought it on this, because, look, this wasn't a good look for Justin at all, and Blake clearly knew it, Isabela clearly knew it, and now, of course, since our reporting yesterday, all the headlines are running into the Justin Baldoni harassed another co-stars. What the sort of anybody who's not paying attention, that's what they're gonna take away from this, and that's just so disgusting. I look, I learned how to say this girl's name, Isabela Ferrer. Now I know who you are a little bit more, but not in a good way. I've been defending you. I've backed off from, like, we leave her alone, of course, but girl, what are you doing? What are you doing? If you got an issue with this man, then say it. Don't say it because he's trying to save his career and his reputation. If your text was a lie and it wasn't a safe space, then what are you?
So here's the thing. Everyone's asking the same question. Why did Isabela Ferrer's lawyer suddenly slam the brakes after months of quiet compliance? For a while, he played along, accepting subpoenas, forwarding documents, letting the process run its course. Then, out of nowhere, he stopped cold. Total refusal. That lawyer, Mr. Mickelman, isn't known for drama. He doesn't grandstand, doesn't bluff. His world revolves around contracts, billing hours, and control. Which makes this move all the more suspicious. Because when a man like Mickelman suddenly digs in his heels, it's rarely about the principle of cooperation. It's about leverage. And here's what made it bizarre. The requests themselves weren't extraordinary. They were routine discovery asks, a few records, some communication threads, nothing headline-worthy. Yet every single one turned into a mini-war. What should have taken days ballooned into weeks, what should have cost thousands in time morphed into tens of thousands in legal fees. The entire process began to feel less like compliance and more like containment. So why fight so hard if Ferrer had nothing to hide? That's where the whispers start. Insiders say the stonewalling wasn't about defending her rights, it was about buying time. Every delay kept Ferrer in limbo, kept Baldoni's legal team bleeding money, and most conveniently, kept Blake Lively out of the direct line of fire. Because as long as Ferrer's name sat buried in procedural quicksand, nothing incriminating could surface. Think about it. Ferrer stuck in discovery purgatory, Baldoni's side footing a mounting bill, and Blake's narrative staying comfortably intact. That's not chaos, that's choreography. And when Mickelman's refusals kept piling up, they stopped looking like mere legal tactics. They started looking like armor, a calculated shield designed to keep Ferrer's real role, and whatever she knows sealed tight. Every blocked subpoena, every stalled motion only fed one growing suspicion. Ferrer isn't some bystander. She's a gatekeeper, because if she were truly irrelevant, no one would be fighting this hard to keep her quiet. And that's exactly when Baldoni's camp made their boldest move yet, flipping the entire game on its head in a direction no one saw coming.